got a ringside table at the Cabin Club in Harlem. When Pauline came out in the 2 o'clock review, he called her and told her to come here. He looked mad. Funny boy. But that rich man was jealous of the colored guy he had seen her with. Mr. Lloyd jealous of a jig. Wouldn't that freeze you? They had a hell of a quarrel that morning when they came to the apartment. First time I ever heard them quarrel. Pauline told him finally he could go to hell. She told him yes, she loved that black boy, that he was the only boy she loved in the wide world, the only man she wanted. They were all drunk because between words, they would drink liquor. He'd left 2 bottles of Hague and Hague on the tray when I went to bed. I thought Pauline was stupid talking like that, but I guess she was so drunk she didn't care. Yes, I love that colored boy, she hollered. Yes, I love him. I don't think you're buying my heart. Do you? And that hurt the boss. He'd always thought he was a great lover and that women liked him for something else besides his money, because most of them wanted his money. Nobody ever told him he wasn't so hot. His girls all swore they loved him even when he beat them. They all let him put them out. They hung on till the last dollar. But that little yellow devil of a Pauline evidently didn't care what she said. She began cussing the boss. Then Mr. Lloyd slapped her. I could hear it way back in my bedroom where I was sleeping with one eye open. In a minute, I heard a crash that brought me to my feet. I ran out through the kitchen, through the living room, and opened Mr. Lloyd's door. Pauline had thrown one of the whiskey bottles at him. They were battling like hell in the middle of the floor. Get out of here, boy, Mr. Lloyd panted. So I got it. But I stood outside the door in case I was needed. A white man beating a Negro woman wasn't so good. If she wanted help, I was there. But Pauline was a pretty tough little scrapper herself. It sounded like the boss was getting the worst of it. Finally, the tussling stopped. It was so quiet in there. I thought maybe one of them was knocked out, so I cracked the door to see. The boss was kneeling at Pauline's feet, his arms around her knees. My God, Pauline, I love you, I heard him say. I want you, child. Don't mind what I've done. Stay here with me. Stay, stay, stay. Let me out of here, said Pauline, kicking at Mr. Lloyd. But the boss held her tighter. Then she grabbed the other whiskey bottle and hit him on the head. Of course, he fell out. I got a basin of cold water and put him in the bed with a cloth on his dome. Pauline took off all the rings and things he'd given her and threw them at him, lying there on the bed like a ghost. A white bastard, she said. Just because they pay you, they always think they own you. No white man's gonna own me. I laugh with them, and I make them think I like them. Hell, I'm from Arkansas, where the crackers lynch the niggers in the street. How could I like them? She put on her coat and hat and went away. When the boss came to, he told me to call the chauffeur. I thought he was going to a doctor because his head was bleeding, but the chauffeur told me later he spent the whole day driving around Harlem trying to find Pauline. He wanted to bring her back, but he never found her. He had a lot of trouble with the head too. Seems like a piece of glass or something stuck in it. I didn't see him again for 8 weeks. When I did see him, he wasn't the same man. No, sir, boy. Something had happened to Mr. Lloyd. He didn't seem quite right in the head. I guess Pauline dazed him for life, made a fool of him. He drank more than ever and had me so high I didn't know B from a bull's foot. He had his white woman around again, but he got the idea from somewhere that he was the world's greatest lover and that he didn't have to give them anything but himself, which wasn't so 40 for them little Broadway gold diggers who wanted diamonds and greenbacks. Women started to clearing out early when they discovered Mr. Lloyd had gone romantic and cheap. There were scandals and fights and terrible goings-on when the girls didn't get their presents and checks. But Mr. Lloyd just said, to hell with it, and drank more than ever and let the pretty girls go. He picked up women off the streets and then wouldn't pay them, cheap as they are. Late in the night, he would start drinking and crying about Pauline. The sun would be rising over the Hudson before he stopped his crazy carryings on, making me drink with him and listen to the nights he spent with Pauline. I loved her, boy. She thought I was trying to buy her. Some black buckhead to come along and cut me out. But I'm just as good a lover as that black boy any day. And he would begin to boast about the women he could have without money, too. Wrong, of course. But he sent me to Harlem to find Pauline. I couldn't find her. She'd gone away with a boyfriend. Some say they went to Memphis, some said Chicago, some said Los Angeles. Anyway, she was gone. That kid who looked like an Alabama moon. I told Mr. Lloyd she was gone, so we got drunk again. For more than a week, he made no move to go to the office. I began to be worried, cutting so many classes, staying up all night to drink with the old man and hanging around most of the day. But if I left him alone, he acted like a fool. I was scared. He'd take out women's pictures and beat them and stamp on them and then make love to them and tear them up. Wouldn't eat. Didn't want to see anybody. Then, one night, I knew he was crazy. So it was all up. He grabbed the door like it was a woman and started to kiss it. I couldn't make him stop pawing at the door, so I telephoned the chauffeur. The chauffeur calls up one of Mr. Lloyd's broker friends and they take him to the hospital. That was last April. They had him in the sanatorium ever since. The apartment's closed, his stuff's in storage, and I have no more job than a snake's got hips. Anyway, I went through college on it, but I don't know how the hell I'll get to dental school. I just rode Ma down to Atlanta and told her times was hard. There ain't many Mr. Lloyds, you can bet your life on that. The chauffeur told me yesterday, he's crazy as a loon now. Sometimes he thinks he's a stud horse chasing a mare. Sometimes he's a lion. Poor man, in a padded cell. He was a swell guy when he had his right mind, but a yellow woman sure did drive him crazy. For me, well, it's just a good job gone. Say, boy, give me a smoke, will you? I hate to talk about it.
Is a recurring theme, and liquor is a recurring theme. That reminds me that it's intermission. Have a glass of wine, you know you want to. You'll enjoy Sonia Manzano and Langston Hughes even more. I'll see you in a few minutes. Thank you very much.